questions. Every once in a while, we'll post a little prompt on Facebook asking on our Facebook fan page, asking if you have any questions for me, because it's always fun to get those questions from you, and then we get to answer them, and it's kind of fun. It's more personal to do it in a video because then I get to actually talk, and it's hard to type sometimes when people ask me questions. So we posted today, what questions do you have for us? And Oni, is it O-N-E-Y? I hope I'm saying that right, Oni. Said, how did you get started designing your stamps? Was it the need for a certain stamp? And then she said later, she said, I'm new to stamping and new to your stamp, so maybe this has already been answered. That's okay. Welcome, first of all. Thank you I've been seeing you post a lot, so I want to say thank you for that. How did I start designing? I've been in the scrapbooking industry since, professionally, since 1999. I'm an old timer. I started getting published by Creating Keepsakes magazine and Memory Makers magazine. I don't even know if Memory Makers is still around. I don't know. Okay, and then so I started doing a lot of that. But before that, I used to stamp. Can you remember when I had that little booth at the swap meet? So what I did was we have like a swap meet by our house, but it's not like used stuff. It's all brand new stuff. So you set up a booth, and it's like more like a craft. Well, it's not a crafting, but it's all new stuff. And so you could go and you look, and so I had this idea, and that was before the kids were born, so that was over 20 years ago. I had this idea. I must have been like 10 years old, I think. But I had this idea that I was going to sell stamps. So I bought like stamp, because I loved stamping. Well, I think it lasted like 2 days, or Kenny might say it lasted 1 day. I didn't like sitting there, but I got boring. But so I've been stamping forever. I love stamping. But where did that come from? Anyway, so I worked in 1999. I worked for a couple magazines doing stuff, and then I started working for manufacturers. I worked for Paper Cuts magazine as a contributing editor. And then I started working for a stamp company called Ink Boutique. Sadly, the owner decided to retire, and so I took a year off. And then I got a lot of people emailing me saying, "Oh, we miss you. We loved when you did Ink Boutique. We loved when you did this. We loved." And so my uncle said, "Well, why don't you start your own stamp company?" And I thought he was insane, but on a dare, I did, and here we are. So it's been fun. But my designs do come from a need for certain stamps. So what happens is I'm designing or I'm stamping something, I'm creating a card, and I go, dang it, I wish I had a stamp that was blah, 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 blah. Especially Dictionaries for Us. That's a more recent one that I'm like, darn it, I need a stamp that has a whole bunch of words that has but cute definitions. I don't want like the definition of bathroom or the definition of, I don't know, some of the stamps out there were kind of like, ah! So I wanted pretty words like wish and believe and friend and things like that. So I made up my own. So that's where a lot of the stamps come from, is my need for a certain stamp. So that's fun. But thanks for asking. Amy wants to know, do you have any more scrapbooking type sets planned? I love all of your stamp sets for card making and scrapbooking, but would love more sets with journaling prompts, titles, more journaling lines, etc. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you, Amy. Actually, on our list for the end of the year, I do believe the rest, because we have a calendar and we try to plug in certain sets. I do believe there is one coming up in a couple months, so you'll want to make sure you check that out. I do have other ideas that I'm trying to like spin around in my head and try to figure out how I can get those released also, because I do like to scrapbook a lot and I need some big words. So got my mind thinking. I already thought of something. Darn, I gotta write these things down. This happened during the last video. So it really happened during the last video. I gotta remember to write these things down. Sorry. Okay, but yes, there are absolutely. Do you ever? This is from Susan. Do you ever think about selling the acrylic blocks for your stamps? Sadly, we can't. We sell them in our trade show booth, so if you ever come to one of the shows where we are, make sure you check out the homepage. We have a list of all the shows that we're going to go to. Unfortunately, due to shipping issues or shipping prices, it would cost me $5 to mail this block to you, sadly, because it wouldn't go, or we could send it first class, but it would get smushed and ruined and chipped. We'd have to send it priority, and then it would be $5 minimum. And it's kind of like the t-shirts thing. We didn't want to do it, but everybody kept asking for the t-shirts. But acrylic blocks we won't be selling on our website. It's just too hard. And the best thing for you to do, if you can't find us in a trade show, then go to your local craft store and use a coupon, because that is the best way to get acrylic blocks. Luckily, in our booth, we are able to sell them at a really good discount, though. So, but that's just a heads up. How do I store my stamps? Kimberly wants to know. I store them in our 3-ring binders that we have, and I don't think I have one handy to grab. Sorry, it's on the other side of the room. But they come. I just use a 3-ring binder, and then all of our club members get freebie storage sheets to store their stamps in. And so every couple months, a club member gets a storage sheet. And then anytime a club member orders 3 stamp sets, multiples of 3, they get a free storage sheet to store their stamps in. So that's how we store our stamps. Let's see. Misty wants to know what kind of brand or acrylic stamp base do you use? Do we sell them? Well, I think I already got that one. What kind of ink do I use? I use here, they're right here. I have not 100. They only have 42 colors. I use the Vivids. It's a dye ink. Why do I use dye ink? Because it dries fast, and I am too lazy to wait for pigment ink to dry. I don't emboss, like ever, really, because it's too much trouble for me. But I love the dye ink pads, so make sure you check out the dye ink pads. They are hard to find. We do carry them in our booth when we travel, although we are working on something. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. Okay, let's see. Kathy wants to know, hi Stephanie, not stamp related. Are you looking forward to the girls being home from school soon with them hanging out with their cool mom and cookie? Well, Kathy, thank you very much. I have 2 teenagers, ages 13, almost 14. She'll be 14 in June. And then I have a brand new 18-year-old. And unfortunately, I'm not a cool mom to them. I think my 18-year-old's kind of realizing I'm not too bad. But the 13-year-old's still deciding whether I'm cool or not. She likes to tell me I'm not. Am I excited about them staying home? I am, but they're so always into their own stuff now that I want to be with them more. We did buy Disneyland passes, so I'm hoping they'll go to Disneyland with me because I love Disneyland, and I'm hoping they'll go to Disneyland with me a couple times. But I'm not as cool as you think I am, or I'm not as cool with them as you think I am. But my 18-year-old is starting college this summer. She's going to a community college, and she's taking 16 units this summer. Crazy. I know. She's crazy. She wants to do community college in less time than 2 years. So she's decided she's taking 16 units this summer. We'll see how that goes. So she's not going to be home. But the little one, or the 13-year-old, I call her the little one will be going with us to Texas this June, and she'll be traveling with us a little bit more this summer. So that'll be fun to spend some time with her. Tina asks, you say not to use StazOn ink on your stamps. What ink should you use, and what ink if you want to color with Copics? If you want to color with Copics, I'd use the Memento ink. That's the best to use with the Copics because it doesn't run. I don't have any right here within grabbing distance, but the Memento inks are the best. But for any other stamping, I do use the dye inks by Colorbox because they really, they dry so fast, and there's so many colors, and and the price is very reasonable. I mean, you can't beat the price. I mean, I think that's the main reason. But also the main reason is when you have a solid image, and this is my biggest pet peeve. I have a lot of solid image stamps in my collection, and on a lot of ink pads they have like felt and they have a texture. So when you take a solid stamp and stamp it and then stamp it on your paper, you get the texture. Well, what if you don't want that texture? So these ink pads do not have a texture. It's solid ink. It's a solid surface. And so when you stamp it, you don't get that random texture that you might not want. So that's another reason why I like these ink pads. So just a little hint. But I know these are getting hard to find. We're working on that. We're going to try to carry them on our website, but it's not going to be till summertime. So, but we're working on that. Okay. But just so you get the heads up. So thank you so much for asking me some questions. And if you're not a Facebook fan, make sure you become one because we do sneak peeks as often as we can for our new stamp sets and we have lots of fun. So I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.